Panama City Mayor Greg Brudnicki, like many in the area, did not expect the level of destruction that Hurricane Michael would bring.
I thought to myself, I've skated this for 8 years being in office. And I was like a lot of the citizens here. I've been here for over 50 years. We always had these ones and small ones, and they always missed us. And this time, we got hit. And it was very devastating. It was very devastating for me. It was very devastating for the public.
Despite the city being in an evacuation zone, most residents did not leave.
We only had 20% of the people leave, and 10% of those were on the beach.
And after the Category 5 storm struck the Panhandle, Brudnicki couldn't believe what he saw.
A war zone. It was just, the trees were missiles. It's just the devastation, the things that were smashed. And I rode around with our chief of police and General McQueen that night where we could go in a vehicle, and just seeing all the power lines down and the buildings just devastated and no power. And it looked like, and I asked him, because I've never been to war, I said, does this look like a war zone? He said it does.
President of a local funeral home, Brudnicki, like others, suffered damages.
I had over $200,000 damage to my house, and the funeral home had over $1 million damage. And we had 430 trees that we lost in the cemeteries, which had to be taken out. So we had a lot of devastation. And my people working at the funeral home, we're operating out of a container behind the funeral home. The 5th busiest month we ever had was in November, and they operated out of a little 20-foot wide by 30-foot long container. We still had to deal with our situation. People still had to deal with death.
However, during the tough situation, Brudnicki says his employees, as well as the city workers, stepped up.
And the stars really shine. Your best employees really stepped up. It was great. Same thing with the city. Our city employees, we had 150 that had no place to live, yet they still came to work every day.
The mayor highlighted the residents' recovery efforts after the storm.
I thought the citizens did a magnificent job, and we've had over 800,000 hours of volunteered labor that has come to town to help us. People probably met neighbors they never met before. It was neighbors helping neighbors.
He also emphasized just how resilient the community was.
What I'm really amazed at was how the children handled it and how the elderly handled it. You had ambulances flying day and night. With all the hospitals devastated, the nursing homes, they had to take hundreds and hundreds of people out of nursing homes and the hospitals and take them somewhere else. I was amazed at, in talking with a lot of those people that were running those organizations, how well the patients did, the elderly did, and the kids.
And in the future, Brudnicki says the city will be ready if another storm approaches.
We're going to always be better prepared now, and I think we're not going to be so flippant about whether or not something's a storm.
Erica Orstad, News 13, Panhandle Strong.